Hello, my name is Francis Fox. I think most of you know that I was part of a secret program for exploring and augmenting human potential, IQ, superpowers, which we're never told about. The program supposedly was set up and was supposed to turn over the information, the discoveries, to the school system so that the American children could benefit. What a storyline. This is I heard that when I was presented to Kennedy. I was between 12 and 14, and I was presented as not an American child. I was born in a military base to a military soldier. My father, who was Cuban, but he was American soldier. I was presented as not an American child. We don't do this to Americans, but as part of a program that was making these discoveries that would be turned over so that American kids could benefit. And that was never done. And that meeting was, well, I'm assuming it was for, I was in several meetings in which I was used as like a demo model to present for soliciting funds. It was interesting because when I started my process of recuperating from all of the abuse in the 90s, I remembered a couple of names, which I don't remember today. And I said, you know what, if I was presented to these people, and these are not just memories I'm making up out of no place, then those names should be part of the Appropriations Committee of Congress. And I went to the library, and it was not that difficult. I thought it would be. And I was able to find the list of the people, the politicians that were on the Appropriations Committee, and their names were on there. So it was one of the things that helped to ground me as I was remembering things. Because remember that those of us that were in mind control programs were all given drugs, electroshock, threats, who knows what else to erase our memories so that we could be involved in stuff, but then never have a recollection of it. So the memory retrieval work was not easy. And it was at a time that there was disinformation going out to the public of inserted memories and planned memories and false memories. It was very difficult, I would imagine, for the rest of the people that were trying to come out of wherever they were under a rock and try to do their therapy, and then to have this also come out at the same time as a way of establishing that people like me who talk that were just, that didn't really happen. And because it's hard to believe that it did happen, that makes it very, very difficult. So I'm finding out that it's possible that there were court cases that have been held in the last several months that have to do with me and whether I'm mentally ill. And it would appear there's a connection between monies that's owed to me, and if I'm mentally ill, what the heck? Why give it to her? I'm still in a state of shock. You would think that somebody would have contacted me. But I haven't had mail since August the 22nd. That's not true. I am getting some mail now. But we're not going to go into that because there's too many other interesting things happening. Did you know that Washington, D.C. has the highest rate of bipolar in the country? This is not a good thing for the United States, that our governing bodies are in a city. DC is what? It's a unit of something. And it has the highest rated, highest level percentage of bipolars, which I think that when you get a classification of mentally ill, I think that's almost like the worst classification. By the way, bipolar is an invasion by off planet spirits. And when that spirit is kind of sleeping, taking a nap, on vacation, you're fine. And when it comes in and takes over your physical vehicle, then you are behaving out of control. You're not taking your meds and you're making everybody crazy. We got a whole city, Washington, D.C. Okay, something else interesting happening in Washington, D.C. is the housing market is having a little bit of a collapse. I think probably most of these people haven't even lost their jobs yet. So at this time, when there are 8,000 houses for sale, it's called the DC housing market, 4,000 were put up for sale in the last 30 days. The median price dropped between November and February 20% in Washington, D.C., which reminds me of when I was doing all of my research decades ago. I ran into something that said that it was either the first or the second big. Miami is a city of boom or bust. It's a very interesting city, honestly. Let's get the bad guys out there, whatever, because honestly, Miami is really, I like Miami, but it's a Scorpio, and Scorpios always make things very interesting. But when I was doing my work, I found out that Miami's boom and bust history included, but I think it was the second boom, and it was during the Bay of Pigs. So many people from the FBI and the CIA moved to Miami to work that little island, to make sure that little island wouldn't control the United States. So many of them moved here and they liked it and they bought homes. So it was the first, I think they said the first, but I think it must have been the second boom, housing boom. And I don't know what's going to happen now when all of these bad guys get roughed up, get taken off to jail, and when the money stops. I've told you this before. I have a friend of mine from Colombia, and he says that anybody that he meets in Miami that's Cuban, they all have some connection to the CIA. And I think that's yeah. And he didn't say Cuban, everybody that he met in Miami. And I think they all have their little checks. Some of them may have big checks, and those checks are going to stop now. So what's that going to do to our housing market and to our businesses in Miami? It's going to do whatever it is that it needs to do, which is why we need to get rolling on this putting out. We have social services for people that don't have enough money, that are older, Social Security. We honestly need social services having to do with mood, having to do with state of mind. And I just realized the most important thing in science that needs to be unraveled is string theory, according to the physicists and everybody who respects them. Well, I unraveled string theory. It's a structure that our mind is channeled through. That structure, guess what? It looks like a tree. Oh, the tree of life, now we know. Buddhism, by the way, is based on, it's not a religion, Buddhism. It's a philosophy based on the mind. And they actually have sketches of those conduits. But I guess they never found out about string theory to be able to say, hey, we've been handling string theory, not decades, not hundreds of years, but thousands of years. So I think that when it is established within 5 minutes that this discovery of the mind is real, you can count on it. And just like science said, if you know when you discover the structure, the fundamental structure of the universe, there are no more questions. It answers everything. It's true because it's a structure for creation. So I think that we should be at a point where we need to understand that we should integrate what we have learned, which is the mind creates reality. And then rather than spending everything, and I'm not talking money here, I'm not talking money, spending all the time and efforts on the human vehicle, okay? We need to go and spend the time on the part of us that creates. And I think we will get that. We will get there. The thing is to get there like really quick so that we can have a handle on whatever. If this is happening to the DC housing market, and the last 30 days, it went from 4,000 up for sale to 8,000 up for sale. I think we need to move along and work a little bit more quickly to getting people relief from emotional relief, spiritual relief from the process that we're in, which many of us feel is really good. We need to cut these things back. And yes, there's going to be pain. And somebody that thinks that this can be done pain-free really needs to grow up. And by the way, probably never ran a business. It's very easy if you've not run a business. If you teach, you're in education, I am not putting down those professions, even like lawyers. If you didn't run a business, which is very day-to-day, 7 days a week, payroll, etc., It's easier to be unrealistic. When you run a business, you can't be unrealistic because Monday morning it's going to hit you, or Friday, or whenever payroll is, or whenever the rent is due. So we need stress management. I can't call them. You know why I use the word purification? Because my lawyering son and other people told me I can't use the word healing. Nobody can use the word healing in this country. I'm not sure doctors can use it, but definitely a regular person cannot say they healed something. You'll end up in jail. Or like several summers ago, somebody with a shotgun will shoot your head off. You know they did that several summers ago. One summer they killed like 13 or 14 pretty big deal alternative physicians in this country. And it was thought that there was stuff going on that somebody dared to talk about a cure for cancer. Well, you know what? You got to be really low IQ in the United States to talk about having a cure for cancer. You have to be very low IQ. They're going to take you down. It is not illegal. It's dumb. You're dumb as a rock. How could that be? So, anyway, back to what I was saying. I use the word purification. I'm not allowed to use the word healing. I'm not going to bother calling my son on it. Okay? I think with RFK there, we're going to be able to use that word. Can somebody ask him? So we need stress management. Reduce stress rather than purifying your energy bodies of congestions that later on cause diseases. So can we speak openly? I don't know. We're in totally new territory. Adam Schiff is here again. He was here last night, and we didn't go check him out because he was obviously tied up. But today he's more free, and today he's yelling at me, and I don't know. Just I'll share what he's yelling. He's yelling that between here and Thursday, everything's going to come tumbling down. Except that's what he's yelling. I'm only saying he's not giving any hint where, what, something having to do with Trump. Everything's going to come tumbling down. He's emotionally out of control. He is like, when somebody loses it and they just put their head back and they start to howl and scream. That's actually what he looks like. So I certainly wouldn't trust what it is that he's saying. I'm just sharing what's happening in my office, that his spirit is here. By the way, I think whoever's investigating where this money all went, but I'm not real sure about this. So you have to don't waste a lot of time and money. The Greek Isles, I think think may have been a playground for the words coming out of my mouth are for the senators that were in positions to funnel money. The Greek Isles. Now, I already looked up if they have extradition treaty with the United States. They do, but I'm just sharing that in case it may help somebody. Most of the information I give you, you can count on. I'm not 100% sure that you can count on that piece of information. Okay. I discovered the fundamental structure of the universe, which is the basis for string theory. It's no longer theory, it's operation. I've been working on it for 30 years. It's a basis for my stress management, where we had such high ratings when we put it in the corporate world. Very short, because as soon as the guy who ran the companies asked who I was, it was no longer acceptable, regardless of how much the people wanted it, whatever. But I have been saying for several years that I'm here to teach white magic. I know too much about black magic, dark magic. That's why you have to get the Cuban mercenaries. You must get them not just wrapped up, locked up. You need to go after their assets, okay? And you need to start the process, who's ever listening, of being able to take people to court when they do black magic and harm people. There's already a lawsuit that was won in France, I think, with some big deal sports figure from Africa. And somebody apparently went against him. I never actually looked up the case, but he won. And I'm not exactly sure how you would do that, but definitely you cannot create order, especially from what it is that I have seen has been introduced in this country, um, into the political scene. You cannot have order unless there is a consequence for using black magic. For that, you need to have the people that can identify it, and then you need to have a way of actually being able to prove these comments, accusations. I don't think that part's going to be that hard. It's going to be new. And I was thinking about ancient civilizations. Today they were talking, they showed on X, which is where I get my news, this beautiful picture of a pair of sandals that had a lot of gold and it had figures inlaid in the sole of the sandal where you put your foot. And it was the enemies of the person who owned those shoes. So then, totally correct, culturally correct, anthropologists said maybe, it was something strange having to do with the enemies, or maybe it was the da 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 da. Listen, if they put that on where your foot is hitting it, wake up, guys. You are trampling your enemies. But because you don't believe in magic, you have to go all over the universe. Plus, you have to give 3 different versions. Interesting. It was years ago that I had a client that was very dizzy and confused and didn't understand what the heck was going on. And when I checked, somebody had taken his photograph and had somehow attached it to the wheel of a car so that every time the car wheels turned, the energy field of the person would be turning. Obviously, they would get dizzy. So, back to the white magic. This is the reason why I was born. This is the reason why I was born in such darkness. This is the reason why I was born and went through everything that it is that I went through. And it's the reason why maybe when I started having private clients and I had well to do clients, upscale clients, because I charged a lot and I still do, almost all of them had black magic. And in those years, I didn't believe in black magic. I was just like all the rest of the people. No, I don't believe in that. Okay, if they believe in it, fine. Okay, so it affected them. But that's not, mm, I don't make up stories and I'm pretty accurate, actually very accurate. So if I'm saying people have black magic, they do, especially if I didn't even believe in it. But it was through witnessing, through remote viewing, what it is that they do, the creativity of these black magicians, these santeros, these curanderas, these brujos. I was like, oh my God, what creativity! They know about the creation of life. Creation, create. Intention creates reality. You take an intention and you put a nice ritual next to it and you go for it and you can change reality. They know a lot. We don't need to learn from them. I already got the information. I mean, I'm not trying to block you from learning from them, but you really don't want to get caught up in that field. And I did the learning via remote viewing, and you should do anything you want, but that's a really dark area and energies transfer, so you have to be careful. But anyway, the point of the matter is that on this planet, there are groups of people that know about creating reality and recreating reality and changing your reality in spite of your intentions. That's what we have to learn now with the right intentions, white magic, to be able to roll through more gracefully this that we're going into now, which is the reality of Trump being in, the reality of all these people being without work, the reality of the rug being pulled out from under all of us that live in Hispanic type cities like Miami, where too many people will be gone and we don't have people to do the work. All of that is something we have to go through. And I do understand that. They call it tough love when it's with kids. I understand that. But we can make it more graceful. We can lubricate the process. We can get 200,000 people visualizing Trump saying at the end of the first year, we did great. The economy is doing great. Just that visualization. A couple 100,000 people. Mainly, it will be the Hispanics in the United States, but that's okay. That's part of the reason why the Hispanics are here in such numbers. Okay? There's so many things that we can do. What do they call them? Public service announcements. And I am joking and I'm not joking. Have you done your mantras today? We're finishing the book on world peace called Creation World Peace. It should be up by Monday. You should be able to get it online. Ebook $5 and then the not the hardcover, the paperback $15. But the point of the matter, darn, I went off on a tangent, so I lost my thought. The point is, you do not need a gazillion people to create change. You do not need, you actually need to give people what they want at this point. And at this point, I think people want relief, and it needs to be instant, it needs to be cheap, it needs to be like nothing. And this stress management program that I'm going to be suggesting to Trump is totally cheap. Mantras are free. Um, it doesn't go against any religion, not if you're Christian or Catholic, not if you're Buddhist, not if you're Hindi, on the contrary. Um, and I think we need to offer it to people, and we need to get some creative geniuses who will figure out the kind of language to use to not offend modern people who don't want somebody's religion shoved down their throat. This stuff is not religious. I am not religious. I don't know what the definition of religion is, but I am not religious. Um, I am very spiritual, and we have several spiritual energy bodies. Why aren't we taking care of them? We can, and we will. So this is white magic because of your intention. But now we have to teach the people who would want the white magic. We have to give them the tools. We have to explain it to them. We have to show them. But the number one piece of white magic is this. You see an old lady who's overweight, never done a day at the gym or an hour there. She sees her kid underneath the wheel of a car in an accident. Nobody there to help her, and she has never lifted anything in her life. And yet, she manages to lift the car and pull her kid out. What do you call that? You call it a miracle. Yes. What is a miracle? It's white magic. What is it that I am teaching already, and what I want to teach at a national and international level? Repeatable miracles. Why was that lady able to get that car up and off her child? Because nobody was going to interfere with her intention to save her child. Not even her worries, not her insecurities. Nothing was going to get in the way. She had what is called the state of ekagrata, Ekagrata. Ekagrata is a state of single pointed. You're single pointed. I'll show you what it looks like. Now, you know you cannot lift a car. You know you cannot break a board with your hand. Yet you can have your kid and you can pay for karate lessons, martial arts lessons, for him to learn how to break a board with his hand. No, 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 no. But you cannot break a board with your hand. In terms of physical reality and science, you can't. Yeah, you can if you take karate and martial arts. Oh, okay. What did they do in martial arts? They trained your mind to have single pointed focus. Here we go. That your fundamental structure of the universe literally reconfigures into a vector. Are you listening, Elon? I learned a lot about vectors from you, Elon, having to do with people in business and making sure they all have a vector towards the well being of the business. I'm probably not saying it correctly. You see those green particles? Those are God particles. They're also called chi. If you're into Hinduism or you're a yoga person, they're chi. If you're into some sciences, they're the God particle, and we're going to try and destroy it so we can find out what it's made of. This is how they break a board. You cannot break a board with your hand. Yes, you can if you focus your mind. The woman cannot save her child. Yes, you can lift that car because you have single pointed intention, the intention to save your child. Got it? That's what I want to teach. That's what we need to get out there. Housing market in Washington, D.C. dropping, not such a big deal. Potentially Miami, the country, it's a big deal. Now, we're not talking about a reaction. Could be a reaction to Trump creating order. But there's also a process going on in the planet that we're there. And so we're not going to be able to just blame Trump's changes. This was coming anyway. I think that's part of the reason why he's in such a hurry, because he knows that. And then you throw the ETs in. Well, you know what? And the black magicians, the one of them that are really powerful, know all about ETs. Why? I'll tell you. I try not to make this too long because I've been talking too much lately. Oh, and I haven't done the math. In the 90s, when I took care of those 50 or 60 autistic kids and I started my practice and I worked with well-to-do people who wanted information from me as a psychic, I got all these people with black magic. I didn't really believe in it. So one day I said, you know what? Okay, fine. Okay, fine. It exists. Okay, fine. I need to understand this. How can you do something and screw up this client's life for 20 years with black magic? How do you do that? So I asked my masters, I said, you know what? Come on, I want to know. Do you know what they showed me? I was actually sitting on the floor of my office, and one wall had a huge medicine Buddha on it. Everybody needs a medicine Buddha. Why? Because the medicine Buddha, supposedly, if you just look at it, you get a healing. Buddhism is not a religion, okay? It's a philosophy of the mind. So I'm sitting on the floor waiting for an answer as to why you could do black magic and screw somebody's life up for 20 years. And what I saw was like a black magician, and he was doing whatever ritual. I never look at the rituals. And this channel opened up to off planet. And the Santero was asking for off planet help to screw this person. And they opened a channel, and that help came in. I didn't see visually whatever it was that happened. That could have been visual. I couldn't see it. But I got my answer. There's an ET attached to that black magic. And once you leave the dimension, like the physical dimension, there is no time. So for it to be 20 years to them, it's nothing. In terms of your spirit, it's nothing either, because there is no time in those dimensions, which going to create a lot of problems to the people that want to deal with the ETs, the whole time thing, because we're so controlled by time. So anyway, so you have kind of like the wrong people dealing with the ETs, and then the right people are there like, wait a minute, we're not sure. We got to get this. We have to deal with an awful lot of stuff all at once. We should have dealt with it before. So let's go with the map. It's not been a good day. Now remember that when I sketch what's the most important thing to know now. I don't sketch everything. So the fact that I didn't sketch the Galactic Federation spaceship doesn't mean it's not there. The fact that I did not sketch the green here and then doesn't mean it's not there. It means that in terms of my training and what I want, this is what we need to know today, which basically is the reason why I went into more deeply the whole thing with stress management at a national level. This would be the petals of the chakras that would be black. And then we're falling into a big black hole. Whether you believe in what Trump is doing or not, there's going to be economic consequences. So even if you're a Trump supporter, if you're in a city where the market collapses, you're going to be upset. That's why we have to come in with what I see is grids. We all have what you're not privy to because the bad people made sure that you not have this information. So look up Robert Beck, his book, The Body Electric, which electrified university students in the 60s. I think it was the 60s. Because what he said was, we have an electrical system that can repair itself. And he got taken down. He wrote a second book called Cross Currents, which has to do with all the radiation in the cities and everything, and nobody could even see that. But you all have a body that looks like this, and it's electrical. It's made up of mind strings from string theory, from the fundamental structure of the universe. They're strings, but they're really conduits. And it's in the exact shape of your physical body because your physical body came from this matrix. So what I just saw now when I was talking about helping this collapse is going to come emotional and perhaps economic because of all these changes so quick, which is the only way that it could be done. I totally agree with that. This grid, when you talk about the Higgs field is layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of grids. That's the Higgs field. And life plays out on top of that Higgs field. I have the graphic, see, in the back, that's the Higgs field. So you have one of these bodies. The Higgs field is 110. It's electrical and it's 110. Wi-Fi kills 110 electricity. I did an experiment. I asked God to let me see electricity. I wanted to see it because I wanted to know what Wi-Fi does to it. I kind of knew it was destroying it, and it is. But what I see now when I talk about trying to pitch in and help, having to do with some support for what is going to be a natural reaction to what's going on, what I saw was layers and layers and layers of grids being laid or repaired so that you can't fall into what I put here, which is the big black hole, which I wasn't thinking of it. When I do these, I don't think. I'm not supposed to think. My hand goes automatically to the colored pencil, whichever one it needs to be, and I do whatever. And then afterwards, I look at it and I go, okay. If I look at it a week later, I usually see more things. So that's it. So we are going to start today with white magic, and we're going to start with and I think we're going to have to do a lot of white magic before they go into Fort Knox. I am a little afraid of what it is they're going to find, but more afraid of what they're going to find, what the reaction of the markets is going to be to that. So I think that we need to, I don't know when that is, but I think it's coming soon because Elon does not do anything slowly. So, okay, let's go ahead and do, even though we're depressed, I love and accept myself. And just be thinking of the United States when you're doing it. But the good news is that you will get a healing, because when you do a healing, and doing a mantra is doing a healing, all these energy bodies align. Okay? They all align. And when they align, you feel better. It's when they're not aligned that the spirits are able to come in and start doing stuff that is not your intention. So we're going to do that mantra, even though we're depressed. You can particularly think about Elon and about Trump. Give me a second. I don't know what I just did then. Okay, this is the mantra. But before I do that, let me show you a piece of magic. Many years ago, I witnessed the guru give healings to 500 people. He said he was going to give a healing to every single person. Of course, I didn't believe him. But when I opened my eyes, he had one of his spirits, one of his astral bodies next to each one of us. 500. It was in a conference. I said, I want to know how to do that. I want to do that. Well, I have learned to do that. So let's go ahead and start getting into the magic. I am going to give everybody who is watching this right now, plus everybody who watches it later, because it also works later. It's magical. So I want you to kind of just feel the way you feel. I don't want you to do the mantra. You actually don't have to do anything. You can just sit there and be in receive mode. You don't even need to believe anything. Just, I'm going to work on the heart center, but I'm going to work from the back because there's usually stuff going on there that you did not choose. Okay? So just go ahead and breathe, and I'm going to work on the back of your heart center. Some of you may find that you can see what I'm doing, and others of you may feel better. Your breathing will probably change. And actually, mine is already. So right now, I'm giving you a healing because Trump is in office. Because if he wasn't in office, I would say I'm purifying the back of your heart chakra. But now we can be truthful. And by the way, truth is the only thing that will be left standing in this change of cycles that the planet is in. So it's good that we have Trump. Okay. You should feel better. I think my breathing shifted right at the beginning. And right now, I just feel like I'm more in my body and my voice changed. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you can feel it. So just check yourself out and see if your breathing changed, if you feel more relaxed. My breathing is changing. I'm breathing deeper. Okay. I guess I'm worried. This is really working. I don't know why I'm doing this, but whatever it is, it should go away. So let's go ahead with this mantra. And I am going to go ahead. I got the Medusa video with the map of the United States on it. I have to put it up. I forgot. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm going to put this on. 5 minutes. mantra that you're doing for the United States, you can hardly see it. My pen is running out of ink, I guess. See all that green? You're clearing, you're giving a healing to the United States. By the way, I see the map of the United States. I saw this healing, and Adam Schiff was on top of it trying to stop this. Is he that important in this country? Is he that important? Has he been that much in control of this country? Wow. Continue. It's working. Okay? Okay. How much better do you feel? Hearts. The green energy was because of this depression mantra we did. What is that? That's magic. But that's magic today. In the past, it was much harder. Today, things change like this. Today, the third eye, which is where we have our superpowers, is much more operational. It has to do with focus. So you can say, well, how come if you change it that quickly, then why doesn't it stay like that? Because everything has to do with focus and intention. You focused for 5 minutes. We did 5 minutes of mantras, and we were able to create that change. But then your focus is gone. That's why the martial arts training takes so long. They learn and they get the discipline to control their focus. That's why it's so important that everybody have all the information. If only the bad guys have the information, we can't focus and create a change. Information is like so important. Oh my God. Revelations. We're in Revelations. The bad guys were never going to be able to keep everything under wraps because of where we're at. So if anybody wants to blame Trump, oh my God, look what he did. This was coming anyway. Revelations is a planetary cycle. It's not a Trump thing. He's working with it and doing it in an orderly fashion, in my opinion. But if you don't like Trump and you don't like Elon's, this is not the chat for you. Because I'm very sincere. I cannot do that. I'm a media person. I have to be fair to everybody. No, I have to be fair to the information that I see. And I have to say what it is that I see. And there are times I'm tempted not to say something, but I can't give in to that temptation. Because that's not what I've told you I'm going to do. So anyway, let's go dress. Oh, a lot more blue on that side, which is not bad. It's very gold and white. But on the right side, there's a lot more blue, and blue is communication. That would be sweet. Maybe I'll be able to actually have somebody to talk to. somebody can get near me. I really want to find out if there really were court cases around whether I'm crazy or not. Somebody trying to prove I did ugly things. Well, okay, fine. Where's the proof? I mean, dang it. We live in a crazy world. Okay, well, that's it. We move the energies and exactly the same thing yourself, your home, and start to change your frequency, your vibration. So, because you see, the reason I put up that white dress is because a lot of people can't see the gold in the dress. They see blue and brown. So the whole thing, you want gold in your life, and apparently gold is becoming very important. You want gold in your life? You won't even be able to see it if they put it on your doorstep if your frequency is low. You need to raise your frequency. But you can't just go, I'm going to raise my vibe and be positive. No, 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 no. It's a weight. It's weight. It's particles of emotions. Too many particles of black emotion, of black depression particles, which we were able to lift up a lot. So anyway, goodbye, because I'm half Cuban. Okay, so we could talk forever. You remember Fidel Castro used to talk for hours, 7 hours. Oh my God, we're not gonna get it.